Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. This is not a session, but I've seen some posts from folks asking how you can set up the SP404 Mark II and the OP-1 field together, and I figured I can help folks out. First thing you want to know is that the 404 Mark II can function as a class-compliant audio device. It is not a host, though. It needs a host. The OP-1 field can be a host, so you can get this to work, but there are some challenges. It's not totally straightforward. So with that said, the first thing you want to do, I've got the USB-C cable already connected to the OP-1 field and into the 404 Mark II. As you can see, they're both turned off. My advice would be, first thing you want to do is turn on your 404 Mark II, let it boot up and kind of get situated. This will just make sure that it's able to be in the correct mode for being able to play. I've also got it connected to DC power. Even if you have batteries in here, the 404 Mark II will prefer to use USB power over batteries, so it'll just start draining your OP-1 field, which you may not want. So if you don't want that to happen, you'll want DC power. Next up, I'm going to turn on the OP-1 field here, and the interesting thing will be, you can hear, well, I'm going to turn the 404 Mark II volume off. So you can see it's identified the Mark II as a class-compliant MIDI device. So I'm now able to use the pads like I could to play other instruments. It's playing the OP-1. So neat. That's a piece that's nice. From here, what you'll want to do is you're going to hold shift on your OP-1, hit the microphone. You're going to see it says, here it says OP-1 mic. You just use the blue knob and you rotate over to USB. And now you can hear it's sending notes for MIDI over, so it's playing both instruments, but it is getting audio over to the OP-1. Now what's going on is, because we're on bank 1, it's sending notes, both MIDI notes and sample audio information, over at the same time. So right now I've got the OP-1 configured to listen to MIDI channel 1. You can change it to whatever you want, but just be aware that if you're using banks A through J, you're sending MIDI from bank A to MIDI channel 1, and pad bank J, you're sending MIDI channel data to MIDI channel 10. So even just going to bank B, since this is currently set to listen to channel 1, you can hear it's just sending the audio over. So you can do fun stuff, like you can now record from your USB in or anything else. Now, a couple things I just want to point out. So if I turn off the OP-1 right now when it's on USB and I turn it back on, you're going to see that the connection is no longer going to work. And I'll show you this. It says USB. I suspect, but I could be wrong, but I suspect that what's happening is the OP-1 isn't getting the correct sample rate or bit depth information from the SP404 Mark II when it's starting in USB mode, so it's not able to connect over. So to fix this, what you're going to need to do, and I just have as the process, is just always make sure from powering on you start an OP-1 mic. So I'm going to turn that off, and I will turn it back on, and once it's back up, you'll see of course now it's not going to do this. Oh wait, I'm on bank B. So we can see we're sending MIDI data over, but if I go to bank B, it's not taking any audio over, and it's just not receiving the MIDI because the OP-1 is still on MIDI channel 1. So now again, hold shift, hit the microphone, and we'll go back to USB. So you can see it's sending the MIDI. Not the MIDI, it is sending MIDI over, but it's sending the audio information over. So just if you're going to use the SP404 Mark II with the OP-1 field, make sure that you are, when you power it on, you're on like OP-1 mic. This probably works if you're set to out-in or FM radio. It just seems that the process will not work if you start with USB. When it doesn't work anymore, it does not help if you power cycle your SP404 Mark II. Like, you can turn that on and off as much as you want. It's not going to do anything. It has to be made, this change needs to be made on the OP-1. Let's see. And what other notes do I have here? I thought I had a couple things in mind, but apparently I'm spacing it. Oh, I know. I have seen the screensaver come on for the 404 Mark II, and it seems like the connection dies after that. So I don't know if it's because it goes into a low power mode or something, but it seems like it doesn't pick back up and be able to get the information you need. So I'm not sure what that's about, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. If you just have to go back through the process. It's a little annoying, but at least this does seem to work. And beyond that, I mean, there's no way to tell the 404 Mark II not to send MIDI data when you hit pads. So I would say if you're looking to play anything, make sure that you have your OP-1 either set to receive on a MIDI channel that the 404 Mark II doesn't send on, or do something of that nature. But I mean, by and large, this is the only way you're going to be able to sync MIDI data. So you're probably going to want to have USB set up, because there's no MIDI output on the OP-1 field other than through USB-C. I mean, it is nice being able to use class compliant audio, so I'm hoping that some of this stuff gets fixed up. I suspect that you can create a feedback loop pretty easily if you turn ext source on. I mean, it's sending a MIDI note right now for MIDI 1, and that's just always happens. So I mean, that's another thing to pay attention to. But beyond that, I mean, I think this is probably a good pair. There's you get a lot more sample time. You can do some chopping things and effects that you can't do on the OP-1 field. I do think that they will be fun to work together. It's just that we're kind of stuck with not having a full ability to kind of control everything. Both devices kind of have some things they need to get worked out to bring to the table to function a little bit better. But I hope that helps you guys out. Anybody that's trying to use the SP404 Mark II with the OP-1 field. I might do a few more of these with some other devices to try and show like how to do settings and set stuff up. But I know some people have said like the OP-1 field does not work with the SP404 Mark II. While I think that's a partially correct statement, clearly, I mean, you can get this to work. So anyway, hope that helps you guys out. Cheers, keep making beats, and peace. Bye-bye.